Part 45. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 441. Say it. Then he happily took Suliang away. Looking at the backs of the two of them, Tan Kinja sighed helplessly. Forget it, just leave, it's not like it's not your turn anyway. And the other side. Qin Benjao took Suliang through the streets and went shopping happily. Sulang, I want to eat that. Qin Benjao pointed to a snack and said happily. Okay, buy it. Suliang smiled and touched his girlfriend's head, stepped forward to buy some, and handed it to his girlfriend. Then he saw his girlfriend eating happily. The smile on his face is pure and clean. After eating what she had in her hand, Qin Benjao pointed to a toy on a vendor and said in surprise, Look, Sulang, this thing is so magical. I want one. Buy. Suliang smiled and paid for it. Anyway, his girlfriend liked it and she was happy. A small thing was really not worth a lot of money. And along the way, Qin Benjao was always like this, happy and pure, extremely lively, and her childlike temperament did not change. Suliang couldn't help but smile. And just when Qin Benjao was running towards a vendor selling snacks, she suddenly stopped in the middle of the road, closed her eyes for a moment, and then looked at an inconspicuous stall not far away. Suliang followed and looked at the stall curiously. What's wrong? The stall looked unremarkable and occupied a surprisingly small area. It was just sitting on the ground by the roadside, spread with a piece of cloth, and placed a few things on it. At this time, a person walked over, looked at the things on it and asked, Seller, this is how you sell the things here. The stall owner had a stooped figure and a dull complexion, and casually reported the number. And this amount made the person who asked and Suliang raise their eyebrows. This price. It is simply higher than what my sister spent on shopping before. It is true that the asking price is very high. Is this stall owner ripping off customers? This thought came to everyone's mind. But Qin Benjao was the only one whose expression remained unchanged and her eyes were fixed on something above. She felt a familiar wave from this thing. This thing is a space treasure buried by the dust of time. Suliang followed Qin Benjao's gaze and said with a smile, Is there anything you want to buy? Qin Benjao nodded. She had time and space abilities. This space treasure was very suitable for her abilities. If she could get it, her strength would be greatly improved. Therefore, even if this thing is more expensive, Qin Benjao does not want to give up. What's more, considering the value of this thing itself, it is too cheap to buy it for hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. Because this kind of space-related treasure has always been priceless and cannot be bought even with spiritual stones. It takes a great chance to obtain such a piece. If you like it, then buy it. Suliang chuckled. He also had a lot of spiritual stones on his body, which was more than enough to buy something his girlfriend wanted. He believed that his girlfriend would never spend so many spiritual stones on useless things. Furthermore, even if it is useless, as long as your girlfriend likes it, then your money will be worthwhile. Then, Suliang took Qin Benjao and they came to the stall together. Qin Benjao picked up the space treasure she was interested in and asked politely, Old man, how much does this thing cost? 5 million spiritual stones, no two prices. The stall owner said calmly, even a little coldly. If you want it, let's buy it. Suliang smiled and wanted to get the spirit stone. But at this time, a talented couple who were watching all this started to laugh. Oh, this prodigal woman spent hundreds of thousands of spiritual stones to buy such a useless thing. Gee, she is really willful. This young man is the same. He seems to be talented, has advanced and powerful cultivation, and has a lot of money, but he can allow this prodigal woman to spend such money. She is really stupid. Hearing this, Suliang did not tolerate them at all and said scornfully, "You poor guy, don't talk. I'm afraid your poverty will infect me. If I buy something my wife likes, even if I have to pay a little more spiritual stones, what will happen? You do want to buy it, but I think you simply can't afford so many spiritual stones, right?" As soon as these words came out, the couple's faces turned green and red. They were extremely embarrassed and did not dare to speak anymore. Seeing this, Suliang stopped talking to them, spent a lot of money on his wife, and directly took out 500,000 spiritual stones. "Please count it, old man, we want this thing." The stall owner glanced at the spiritual stones piled next to him, and then glanced at the thing in Qin Binjao's hand, with some surprise flashing in his eyes. After carefully sizing up Suliang and Qin Binjao, the stall owner smiled and said with appreciation, "You two little kids are really discerning and directly picked the best one like me. It's all my fault. Since she likes it, I bought it for her." Suliang smiled and cupped his hands, "Thank you for cutting me off. It's just your own chance." The stall owner smiled nonchalantly. And just then, a young girl suddenly fell from the sky and looked around. When she saw the stall owner behind the stall, her eyes brightened a little. Arriving at the back of the stall, the girl stood in front of the old man with her hands on her hips, pouting, "After searching for a long time, I finally found you. You're doing this kind of thing again. You have a little too much bad taste, right? We don't need an old man like me at home, so why not let me have some leisure time? What do you want from me?" The old man chuckled, looking much kinder and less arrogant. The girl rolled her eyes cutely, "It's been a busy time lately, so why don't we need you to take care of things all the time? Others are too busy to keep their feet on the ground, why don't you stop being so leisurely? Well, the old man has had enough fun anyway, let's go back with you." The old stall owner slowly stood up and suddenly waved his sleeves. Immediately, the trivial things all over the floor disappeared, and the old man also transformed. He actually shed his ordinary clothes, washed away all his beauty, put on a long robe, fluttered his long beard, and looked like an immortal behind his hands. "Are you, the elder of the Supreme Holy Land?" Someone with knowledge revealed the old man's identity in an unbelievable way. But then, the man became a little confused again. "You have such a high status, why do you set up a stall here?" "Oh, it's all just an old hobby." The elder smiled and shook his head without saying anything more. The master pretended to be fishing here to get opportunities and slap fools in the face. It felt really good. The elder said he liked it very much. Occasionally meeting one or two wise people is a blessing. As the old man left, the whole place fell silent at this moment. The identity of the old man became a silent mockery. All of them are fools who think that others are ripping off customers, but little do they know that they are the blind people who have treasures and opportunities in front of them, but they don't know it. Come to think of it, when I was mocking the elder for robbing customers, the elder was also mocking the stupidity of people like me, right? Immediately, everyone turned their attention to Suliang. Compared with them, Suliang and Qin Binjao, the only two people who bought things, became the objects of their envy. 500,000 spiritual stones were used to buy rare and valuable treasure. This is really a huge profit, isn't it? But it was only then that Qin Binjao blinked cutely and realized what was going on. Immediately, she became proud. "Hey, Sulang, you must be awesome." Qin Binjao put her hands on her hips and was very proud. "Even Sulang didn't notice it, but I did. My eyesight is super good." "Shut up, okay." Suliang was speechless and gave his girlfriend a knock on the head. "Haven't you seen that others are envious of us and their eyes are green with envy? We should keep a low profile now, you know? And, you didn't see the old man's identity at all, you just recognized the treasure." Just when Suliang and Qin Binjao were about to leave, a genius stopped them in front of them. Tianjiao said with a stern face, if you sell the treasure you just bought to me, I will pay 10 times the price, you will make a lot of money. Just after he had ridiculed Suliang and Qin Benjiao for being the wrongdoers and losers, he wanted to forcefully buy Qin Benjiao's treasures. These geniuses are really thick-skinned. And, 10 times. 5 million spirit stones. It may seem like a lot, but compared to a space treasure, it is nothing. Volume 1 # Chapter 420 I'm afraid I'll be spoiled sooner or later. Even though Suliang didn't understand much about this, he still knew that this genius simply wanted to buy and sell by force and take advantage. Do you really think everyone else is a fool? Very profitable? You make a lot of money, right? Pouring his lips, Suliang looked at this genius with contempt. Do you really think others are fools? Or are you the fool yourself? As soon as these words came out, it immediately revealed Tianjiao's idea of buying and selling by force. Moment. The disdainful looks from the people around him and Suliang made Tianjiao feel quite embarrassed. But no one noticed that there was some dissatisfaction and coldness hidden in the eyes of this genius. The conditions I gave you are already very good. I advise you to sell it to me. It will be better for you and me. Tianjiao's face was gloomy, and even his girlfriend beside him looked a bit unhappy. What Suliang just said not only refused to give them the treasure, but also directly slapped them in the face on the spot. As a genius, he is respected by the disciples in the sect and favored by the elders of the sect. They went out unscrupulously, without any taboos, and were used to being arrogant and arrogant. How could they endure such ridicule from Suliang? He didn't snatch it on the spot because he was worried about being watched by others, and the person who gave him the opportunity was the elder of the Holy Land. I've already said, don't treat others as fools. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 442. Suliang shook his head calmly. You and I both know the treasures in the hands of the elders of the Holy Land. Let alone 5 million spiritual stones, even if it is 50 million, you probably won't be able to buy it. This is simply priceless. You want to do this forced buying and selling business without hiding your ugly appearance. Do you really think that others don't know what you two are thinking? As soon as these words came out, Tianjiao's face immediately became gloomy and his breathing became rapid. After a long while, Tianjiao took his girlfriend's hand and said in a cold voice, "Okay, I will remember what happened today. You must not regret it. Say it." He just grabbed his girlfriend, turned around and left, as if running away. Today, let's let this guy off for the time being. As for the baby, there is always a way to get it. After all, the opportunity was given by the elders of the Supreme Holy Land. What happened if someone just gave it to me and snatched it away from me? Therefore, don't be impatient about this matter. Seeing the two of them leaving, Suliang shook his head and laughed. He held his girlfriend's hand tightly and said with a smile, let's go shopping elsewhere. Yeah. Qin Benjiao nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. She was so innocent and cute. As for what happened just now, she actually didn't pay attention to it at all. Those two people, let alone your husband, even you can kill them casually, okay. Just a clown. Suliang and Qin Benjiao were wandering around the town. Unknowingly, they left the city directly and entered the ancient forest outside the holy mountain. There are many places with beautiful scenery in this ancient forest. I have visited them with Master before. Suliang smiled and said, how about we just take a walk here? As long as my husband is by my side, everything will be fine. Qin Benjiao hugged Suliang's arm tightly and let it sink into the peak. She rested her little head on Suliang's shoulder and smiled, obviously in a good mood. But just when the two of them walked to a secluded and uninhabited place. Wow! A gust of wind blew by, and the surrounding trees and flowers rustled, and there was a faint feeling of chill. Suliang stopped and looked at a tree somewhere. Now that we are here, stop hiding and come out. As soon as he finished speaking, two figures fell from the tree and stopped in front of Suliang and Qin Benjao. The two of them, a man and a woman, with smug and sinister smiles on their faces, turned out to be the talented couple who wanted to forcefully buy the treasure before. I actually followed you here. Suliang was a little helpless. It seemed that the treasure really moved people's hearts. He and his girlfriend had no grievances against these two people, but they blocked the road and attacked and killed them just for the sake of a treasure. How could this be justified? I gave you 5 million spiritual stones before and asked you to give me the treasure, but you didn't agree. Tianjiao said in a deep voice, now, give me the treasure, and I will consider letting you live. That's my wife's opportunity, why should I give it to you? Suliang had a slight smile on his lips, not panicking at all. You are a bit too domineering in your actions. How do you look like you are on the right path? The treasures in the world are only for those who are virtuous. Tianjiao seemed to feel that the treasure was already his, so he relaxed a lot and laughed twice. You said I acted domineeringly, but I said that the treasure should be mine, so what can you do? Shameless. Suliang shook his head and chuckled, then seriously retorted, no, what you said is wrong. You have no virtue. As soon as these words came out, Tianjiao was almost angry to death by Suliang. This boy, when a disaster is imminent, he still dares to accuse me of being immoral? Do you really think I dare not kill him? Snort. Tianjiao snorted coldly, if you don't give it, then I will get it myself. However, if it is injured or disabled, don't blame me. Say it. The genius suddenly took action, with the wind whistling from his palm, and struck towards Suliang. He was worthy of being a prodigy. With just one palm, the palm wind was so violent that even the surrounding trees were destroyed, uprooted, and the grass on the ground flew into the sky. Even this palm strike is actually airtight. No matter whether the opponent blocks or dodges, he can hit the flaw with one strike. This vision is truly remarkable. Then, Tianjiao was beaten to pieces by Suliang with his bare hands, and he was slapped to the ground, completely stunned. Where do you get the confidence to think you can steal my things? Suliang looked at Tianjiao curiously. It stands to reason that he is already very famous among the two geniuses of good and evil. It is not that Suliang is arrogant, but that he is the genius of good and evil. There is really no opponent for him. After being so strong, there is really someone who is not afraid of death and wants to provoke me? But at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from behind Suliang, hurry up and hand over the treasure, otherwise, I will kill this girl. Suliang looked back and saw that the proud girl among the couple had quietly touched Qin Benjao's back. The long sword was placed on Qin Benjao's neck, and the proud girl said, if you don't want this girl to die, let her go and give us the treasure. It was only then that Qin Benjao blinked and reacted, Suliang, am I being held hostage? Immediately. Pretending to be frightened, Qin Benjao trembled, Suliang, save me. Okay, stop making trouble and get the matter dealt with quickly. Suliang said helplessly, if he ignored his girlfriend, this proud girl would be spoiled. Volume 1 Chapter 421, I always feel like the lady is like the Lord of Yinghuo. Oh. Seeing that her boyfriend had said this, Qin Benjao could only nod her head, and flicked the long sword between her neck with her delicate white jade fingers. In an instant, the proud girl felt a huge force coming from her, which made her unable to hold the sword anymore. Immediately, Qin Benjao used 3 punches and 2 kicks to directly kill the proud girl and capture her. After taking down the couple and throwing them aside casually, Suliang smiled and said, contact your master and wait for someone to pick them up. The attempt to attack and seize the treasure and harm the comrades is not something that can be easily overcome. After that, Suliang ignored these two people and sat aside with his girlfriend, talking and laughing intimately. After a while, a powerful aura suddenly approached from a distance. Suliang turned around to look, but his face became a little strange. It really is. Enemies getting together? A beautiful shadow fell from the sky, and with a wave of his hand, the shackles of the talented couple on the ground were untied. Who dares to touch my disciple? Qianying raised her head slightly, looking arrogant. Then she focused on Suliang and felt slightly cold. Oh, it turns out it's you. This beautiful figure is the lady who competed with Tan Kinja for the treasure cloth before. I've met Senior. Suliang could probably guess that this lady had a strong cultivation level, but she was not afraid. After the etiquette was in place, she looked calm and indifferent. I didn't expect that these two people are actually the apprentices of the senior. I really didn't expect that the master wanted to take away what Tan Kinja liked by force, and insisted on increasing the price to buy the things Tan Kinja liked. And the apprentice is even more like this. He buys and sells by force. If he can't buy it, he will intercept him halfway. All I can say is that he is truly a master and disciple. Their personalities are very similar. The lady ignored Suliang and turned to look at her apprentice. What's going on? Master, I had my eye on a treasure before, but I never thought that this person would take it away first. The two of us just came to him to beg, but he actually made a move directly. After saying this, he directly pushed all the responsibilities onto Suliang and Qin Binjao. But in fact, they didn't set their sights on the treasure first. The two of them couldn't even figure out the elder's identity. I just saw a treasure and wanted to snatch it. But when the lady heard this, she snorted softly, turned to look at Suliang, her face darkened. It's just that I robbed my things with your woman earlier, I won't argue with you. But now, you still dare to rob my disciples' things. Are you seeking death? Senior should know what his apprentice is like. Suliang shook his head and didn't make any excuses. It's really not a good habit to try to rob other people's things based on your cultivation background. Stop talking nonsense and hand over your things. Otherwise, I will directly destroy you, this daring boy. The lady directly interrupted Suliang's words, and immediately, an unprecedented and powerful pressure fell on Suliang. Boom! There was a roaring sound, and the surrounding flowers and trees burst open under the pressure, and even the ground sank a few inches. If any so-called genius came here, he would probably be crushed and seriously injured by this coercion. However, in the midst of pressure, Suliang looked calm and upright, as if he didn't feel anything. Seniors can be unreasonable, but don't forget that juniors also have masters. Suliang smiled slightly, without any trace of nervousness. The genius who can come to the holy mountain at this time naturally has a powerful teacher behind him, which is definitely not something Suliang can handle. So, when he asked the talented couple and others to come and collect them, Suliang had already informed his master. Counting the time, my master should be arriving soon, right? Now, it's time to compete backstage. Really? The moment Suliang finished speaking, a soft hum suddenly sounded, and then, along with this soft hum, a majestic energy like the abyss and the sea suddenly emerged, breaking the pressure of the noble woman in an instant. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 443. Immediately, two beautiful figures flickered and appeared. It was Wan Qing and Jing Meng. Master. Suliang stepped forward and bowed, then looked at Jing Meng and said with a smile, why are you here too? No one can bully you. Jing Meng said calmly and arrogantly. My own apprentice has not been well educated, so it's just that he failed in his attempt to snatch the treasure. As a master, I can actually do nasty things, such as using the big to bully the small and using power to overwhelm others. Wan Qing's calm voice sounded in the forest, but it contained silent anger that was about to explode at any time. I want to see who dares to bully my Wan Qing's apprentice. The words fell. Boom. The majestic aura far beyond that of the noble woman came out from Wan Qing's body and shot straight into the sky. At the same time, base. There was a faint sound of sword clanging, and the sword intent rising to the sky appeared from Jingmen's body, ready to burst out, as if it was going to tear the sky apart, and slash the mountains and rivers with the sword. This is the strength of the pinnacle of swordsmanship. This moment, the lady on the other side was already pale. These two people are so strong. No matter who they are no match for them. This guy, the big guy behind the scenes, seems to have a lot. Gilug. After swallowing hard, the noble lady hurried forward to salute, with a flattering smile on her face, and apologized softly. The two fellow Taoists have been overly worried and misunderstood. This is all just a misunderstanding. I'm really sorry for frightening the student. If I hadn't come, I'm afraid you would have done something to my good disciple. Why, just an apology, do you think that's the end? Of course not. Later, I will send enough compensation to the house, which can be regarded as compensation for disturbing the student. The lady hurriedly said, completely losing her arrogant feeling. The situation is really stronger than the people. The two people in front of me are too terrifying and I can't beat them at all. It doesn't matter if you give in, it doesn't matter if you have money, as long as you can save your life. Why did I, a traitor like myself, provoke such a powerful being? After accepting the lady's apology, she returned to her temporary residence. Before Suliang, Wan Qing, Jingmen, and Jingmen could say a few words, Qin Benjiao took Suliang's arm. Suliang, come with me quickly. Qin Benjiao held Suliang's arm and couldn't wait to pull him to her room. I plan to smelt the treasure now. Suliang, can you come and protect me? Okay. Suliang nodded and agreed. His wife's affairs are the most important. Then, after returning to the room, Suliang and Qin Benjiao sat down cross-legged across each other without saying a word. Call. Taking a deep breath, Qin Benjiao placed the treasure she bought before in her palm. Suliang, I'm going to start. Qin Benjiao said seriously. Don't worry about smelting, and leave the rest to me. Suliang said seriously. Immediately. Then he saw Qin Benjiao's beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, and her true energy penetrated into the treasure in her hand. Moment. A wave of space emerged from Qin Benjiao's body and gradually connected with the space wave in the treasure. At this moment, both Qin Benjiao and the treasure were faintly shining with silver light. It seems mysterious and unusual. Frowning, Suliang sensed the change in his girlfriend. After a while, Suliang stood up, waved his hand, and the long sword in his hand flew out, landed on the top of the room, formed a formation, and enveloped the entire room. There was no way around it. The space around Qin Benjiao's body had already fluctuated. This fluctuation even had a tendency to expand. Naturally, Suliang had to find a way to curb it. Gradually, all the movements in the room gradually subsided, leaving only flashes of silver light. The smelting process was smooth and calm. But gradually, as the smelting process progressed, Suliang's expression gradually became serious. At this moment, Qin Benjiao's body was emitting waves that made Suliang feel more and more familiar. The mysterious and inexplicable fluctuations in the breadth of time and space were also present, and Suliang had indeed sensed them more than once. Moreover, the impression is profound and the memory remains fresh. That is, the Lord of Yinghuo. But, how could this happen? There is obviously no relationship between my girlfriend and the Lord of Yinghuo. Suliang frowned slightly, thinking of the lonely feeling of Lord Yinghuo and the silver hair on his head. My girlfriend also has silver hair and a shawl. Is there really any connection between this? Shaking his head, Suliang took a deep breath and suppressed all the doubts in his heart. The origin of the Lord of Yinghuo is mysterious and unpredictable, and no trace of it can be found. But his girlfriend has always been by his side. How could there be any relationship between these two people? If you think too much, you should think too much. As for the familiar fluctuations on his girlfriend, they are just similar spatial manipulations. The Lord of Yinghuo has the power of time and space, and his girlfriend also has it. Since the power attributes are the same, it doesn't seem too puzzling to have the same fluctuations. Suliang calmed down and comforted himself while continuing to protect the law. After a long time, Qin Binjiao's auras suddenly converged, and the familiar fluctuations disappeared. Suliang, I succeeded. Qin Binjiao opened her eyes and laughed happily. Immediately, she threw herself into the arms of the man in front of her, like a kitten, rubbing herself in his arms. She was so excited. After smelting with the treasure, her understanding of space is now at a higher level, and the spatial abilities she can use are becoming more and more mysterious. Although her cultivation level has not increased much, her strength has actually improved a lot. Accompanied by his ladies, 3 days were just a fleeting moment for Suliang. Soon, the competition for the leader of the righteous path began. It was early in the morning. The Holy Sun then came to the place where Suliang and others were staying temporarily. I've met 2 seniors. The Holy Sun bowed to Wan Qing and Jing Meng. This junior is here under the orders of the Holy Land to convey the mission of the Holy Land to the 2 seniors. Is this mission a competition for the leader of the righteous path? Wan Qing asked. Exactly. The Holy Sun nodded, and then said, the Holy Land mission requires seniors who participate in the competition to go to various places to deal with the abyss cracks that connect the world. The parts that the 2 seniors need to deal with have been clearly marked. Please leave as soon as possible. Those people in the Holy Land are quite scheming. Jingmeng shook his head and smiled. Normally, it is not very convenient for them to instruct the heads of various sections now. There is a way to make us willing to take action. However, since it is a mission and it can be regarded as saving people, what's the harm in going just once? Wan Qing stood up and waved to Suliang on the side. My good disciple, Meng Meng, let's set off, let's go to suppress the abyss rift together. After Suliang and Jing Meng caught up, Wan Qing hugged Suliang from behind with a smile, flew into the sky, and flew away with her sword. In a crack in the abyss. This is the crack that Master is responsible for, right? Suliang looked into the crack in the abyss. Exactly. Jingmeng nodded, holding a long sword, and said to her best friend, Meng Meng, let's take action together, finish it quickly, and go back early. Good. Jingmeng agreed, and together with Wan Qing and Suliang, they came to the edge of the abyss crack and jumped directly. But after getting deeper into it, the expressions of the 3 people became a little strange. And at the same time, a group of abyssal creatures that were still entrenched here before are leaving in groups. Why are we leaving? An abyssal creature asked inexplicably. It's just 3 humans. Although 2 of them are powerful, this is in the abyss. For the glory of the Queen, how can we back down? Stop talking and leave quickly. Another abyssal creature ran and said, the man among the 3 has the aura of the Queen, don't you feel it? You mean? Exactly, that one is the husband-in-law appointed by the Queen, the future prince husband of our abyss. The king's husband is coming. Since we are hostile, of course we have to give in. This is also for the glory of the Queen. Oh, let's go, let's go. The 2 abyssal creatures said and quickly walked away. Then, going deep into the cracks of the abyss, Suliang and the others thought that there was going to be a terrifying battle, but they were surprised to find that they could not find a single abyssal creature. However, this is not the case for others. Except for the 3 Suliangs, everyone else, no matter how high their status is or how powerful they are. When they had just arrived at the abyss crack, before going deep into it, they had already encountered countless abyssal creatures. And when they struggled to break into the cracks of the abyss, they faced tens of thousands of enemies. Those who can participate in the competition for the leader of the righteous path are all powerful people, whose cultivation is rare in the world, but there are too many abyssal creatures, as if there is no end. Among them, there are a few with strong cultivation. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 444. Then. Their task of suppressing the abyssal rift can be said to be extremely difficult and difficult. There are no abyssal creatures here. Sul Yang, Wan Qing, and Jing Men walked together in the last abyss crack. All three of them felt helpless. I came here prepared for a big fight, but I didn't expect that this journey would be like taking a vacation. Nothing to do except walking, and admiring the scenery of the abyss and crevices. There is no trace of abyssal creatures at all. So, all the way down, this task was completed. Isn't it too outrageous to win by lying down? Where are the creatures of the abyss? Come out. Volume 1 Chapter 422 The True Appearance of the Holy Land and the Magnanimity of the Palace. Then. Sul Yang and the others, who had completed their mission early, were completely free. With nothing to do, Wan Qing decided to tease her apprentice. My good disciple, tell me, do you like being a master? Wan Qing hugged her master from behind and let Sul Yang lie in her arms, resting her head on the peak, sinking deeply into it. Well. Sul Yang struggled, feeling like he was almost out of breath. His breath was filled with the scent of milk. Who could bear this? Wan Qing laughed immediately, stared at her beautiful eyes, and hummed, "Humph, if you didn't say it, Master would be angry. I really want to say it, but Master, you have to give me a chance to speak." In desperation, Sul Yang turned his head slightly towards the stubborn stone in front of him and simply bit it down. Well. Wan Qing hummed softly and immediately softened, her lips parted slightly, her eyes were misty, and a trace of blush appeared on her pretty face. And this time, Jing Men happened to be passing by and looked over curiously. See this? Without hesitation, Wan Qing pulled her best friend over and held her tightly in her arms. This time, Sul Yang was attacked from both sides, pinned in the middle by Wan Qing and Jing Men's peak. In an instant, he was completely unable to move. Seeing Jing Meng's cute and confused expression, Wan Qing smiled proudly. For this kind of thing, of course you have to bring your best friends along. Anyway, my best friend is still considered Master's girlfriend. Compared with the busyness of other contenders for the righteous leader, Sul Yang and the others were simply too busy. Others were beaten to death, but they had completely rested, and even had some fun near the cracks in the abyss while doing nothing. By the time I got completely tired of playing, there wasn't much time until the mission was released. If you calculate carefully, others may not have completed the task at all. After all, these participating competitors are limited, but the abyss cracks are numerous and spread all over the world. Therefore, everyone is more or less suppressed by several abyssal cracks. In addition, the distance of the road is different, and the strength of the abyssal creatures is different. How could those people who fought in a series of battles be better than Sul Yang and the three of them enjoying themselves as if they were on a relaxing vacation? In just one day, Sul Yang and the other three were able to see all the cracks in the abyss, while others might not be able to solve even one. This gap is not that big. Then, after getting tired of playing, they calculated the time and felt that it was not too fast. Sul Yang and the others returned directly to the Holy Mountain. After reporting the mission, Wan Qing asked, "Has anyone come back before us?" "There has never been anyone, Master Wang Qing and Master Jing Meng are the fastest." The person responsible for recording the enthronement said respectfully. Hearing this, Wan Qing nodded, then took Suliang and Jingmeng back to their temporary residence and waited for a while. After all, the people who take action are rare strong men in the world, and many of them are Tao masters of the same sect, with advanced and powerful cultivation. Although the cracks in the abyss are dangerous, they will not pose any danger to them at least. Then, one after another, some people completed their tasks and returned to the holy mountain. But compared to Wan Qing and Jingmeng's calmness, they were somewhat embarrassed, their clothes were a little messy, and their breath was not very stable. Finally, after Suliang and others waited for a long time, all those who set out to suppress the cracks in the abyss finally returned. In front of the Holy Land. Based on the time and degree of completion of the task, as judged by the Holy Land experts, 10 people were selected from among you. A man who looked like an old man was holding a long list, standing in front of a group of candidates, and chanting loudly. Among them, there are the names Wanqing and Jingmeng. After reading the list, the old man put his hands behind his back and said, "The 10 people above can follow me to the palace in heaven. The Holy Land promises that you can bring one person with you. I also ask you all to choose your companions as soon as possible. At this time tomorrow, we will set off together. You can actually bring one person with you." Suliang raised his head and looked at the center of the holy mountain, the towering peaks and the pavilions and palaces deep among the clouds, with a trace of yearning flashing in his eyes. Even just visiting this fairyland-like place is eye-opening. After returning home, Wan Qing informed the girls at home about the incident, and then said, "Meng Meng and I can take 2 people there, you can decide among yourselves who will go." Hearing this, Qin Benjio immediately raised her hand, "I'd better not go. Let's give this opportunity to others. This is the magnanimity of being a royal palace." Tan Kinja also chuckled and said, "Since Benjio has given in, then as a master, I can't steal this opportunity from my apprentice. I also give up. Auntie, I'd better take someone else with me. Otherwise, I would also." Mu Qingqian thought for a while and wanted to refuse like Qin Benjio and Tan Kinja, but was quickly interrupted. "You are a disciple of Senior Jingmeng, so go and see it with your master." Tan Kinja took Mu Qingqian's hand and said with a smile. As a result, there was only one left in this quota. But, regarding the remaining quota, the girls are all actively giving in, and no one is willing to take it for themselves. Especially Tao Yaoyao, she was very conflicted. She was a witch. Did she go to the holy land of righteousness to die? Then, in the end, after some humility, Suliang was the only one left. "I go." Suliang pointed at himself and blinked, "This is not appropriate." "There's nothing inappropriate, good disciple, it's you." Wan Qing made a decision immediately, leaving Suliang unable to refute. Then, early the next morning, Wan Qing and Jingmeng brought Suliang and Mu Qingqian to the Holy Land. Along with them, there were 8 other selected people and their juniors. "Everyone, let's go." The old man smiled faintly and took the first step, flying into the sky to the Holy Land in the clouds. Wan Qing and others followed closely behind, and in an instant, several sword lights flashed in the sky, which was extremely magnificent. Soon, as if he had entered another world, Suliang felt suddenly enlightened. The next moment, Suliang looked at everything in front of him and was shocked. In front of him was the true appearance of the Holy Land. The Holy Land is transcendent and powerful, and the pavilions and palaces are all majestic. However, there is an ancient aura lingering on it, and it seems that the aura of Tao is permeating the air. And in the Holy Land, countless terrifying fluctuations flickered, just sweeping over everyone's body, making everyone feel trembling from the bottom of their hearts. These are countless top experts in the world. Sure enough, it is worthy of being the holy land of righteous path. This power is so powerful that it makes people feel incredible. Following the old man flying all the way, everyone quickly went deep into the center of the Holy Land, in front of the magnificent hall. And at this moment, Volume 1 Hashtag Chapter 423 Special Treatment Method, Meeting Old Friends Again. In front of the main hall, there are countless people waiting here. The first few people are actually the elders in this holy land. Seeing everyone descending, all kinds of tricks and magic broke out in an instant for a grand reception. This scene was really dazzling. Really dazzling. Because among them, some of the methods are not even visible to those with weak cultivation. Just using them will make those who are not strong enough in cultivation become dizzy. Welcome to you all. Several elders came forward to greet him and bowed with eager and respectful attitude. Among the 10 people in front of them, there must be the future leader of the righteous path. The elders are polite. All the competitors hurriedly returned the favor. These Holy Land elders had a transcendent status and strong cultivation, so naturally they could not offend them. Please, all of you, come with me to the palace to have an audience. An elder said with a gentle smile, and then said to Suliang and others, you all are proud to visit the Holy Land, but your feasible range is limited, so don't go astray. And after all the elders and competitors entered the palace, Suliang looked around, ignoring those proud men who were either excited or confused. He took the hand of his goddess and said with a smile, Qingqian, why don't we walk around this holy land and take a look? Yeah. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 445. Mu Qingqian agreed immediately. It would be a shame to enter such a magical place like the Holy Land and not visit it. And, still with her man, Mu Qingqian expressed that she was very happy. Walking in the Holy Land and looking at the fairy land that was so different from the world, Suliang felt that his mood was much brighter. It can only be said that it is indeed a holy land of righteousness. The layout and background are far from comparable to those of other sects in the world. Compared with the gap between a small sect like Tiandao sect and the Shang sect, it is much bigger. Senior brother Su, look, the water in this pool seems to be spiritual energy liquid. Mu Qingqian pulled Suliang to the edge of a wide pond, looked at the water in the pond, and said with some surprise. Immediately, putting his hand in the pool to feel it, Mu Qingqian sighed with emotion, it is indeed a holy land. The ordinary pool water is actually a liquid of spiritual energy. The spiritual energy in this water is so pure that it can be used directly without refining. If you soak in it for a long time, some strange physiques may be born. If you fight to the point of exhaustion, drinking some water from the pool will restore a lot of true energy instantly. This thing can already be called a treasure of heaven and earth. But in the Holy Land, it's just water in a pond, with a few fish and many flowers. Growing in such a place, even the fish and flowers have strong aura fluctuations coming out. After walking away from the pond, Suliang and Mu Qingqian walked forward for a while, and soon they saw something that could be called a miracle. I saw. A 9-story tower seems to be wrapped in a formation and actually floats in mid-air. The formations outside the tower were densely packed and wrapped in layers, including spirit gathering, warning, and many more. Suliang couldn't understand them at all. There are even countless ancient runes engraved on the tower, which makes it look even more mysterious. This high-hanging tower is a kind of heritage in itself. It's a pity that we can't go in and take a look. Mu Qingqian hugged Suliang's arm tightly, feeling a little regretful, this is my first time seeing such a magical place. But just as Mu Qingqian finished speaking, well. Suddenly he groaned, Mu Qingqian's eyes closed instantly, her delicate body immediately lost strength, and she fell directly into Suliang's arms. Suliang hurriedly caught Mu Qingqian, not caring about the soft and fragrant fragrance of the delicate body in his arms, explored it and breathed a sigh of relief. Nothing serious, just knocked out. But Who was it that actually made Mu Qingqian unconscious? Frowning slightly, Suliang firmly protected Mu Qingqian in his arms. He looked around the silence, but felt that the silence around him seemed to be a little too much. Even before, he could vaguely hear the sound of someone talking, but now, the sound disappeared without a trace. It was as if the place where they were was isolated. This atmosphere is getting weirder and weirder. This time, Suliang finally noticed something was wrong. Who's in the dark? Suliang frowned slightly. Why do you want to attack us? The words just fell. A beautiful figure suddenly appeared in front of Suliang. The beautiful figure is detached from the world, and her expression is not cold, but just indifferent, aloof, and indifferent. She has a beautiful face, lingering black hair, and a slender and plump body, almost perfect. However, this beautiful figure is like a doll. Although it is extremely beautiful, it is indeed lifeless. How did Suliang know that the mysterious elder sister in front of him was the queen of this holy land? In the Holy Land, the female queen who is regarded as a fairy has been in charge of the Holy Land for thousands of years. This, senior, why do you want to take action against this junior's girlfriend? Suliang hesitated for a moment, but he was not afraid, neither humble nor arrogant. Just kidding, do you think I, Suliang, have no temper if I attack my wife casually? Do you believe it or not that I dare to fight you even if I am above the level of transcendence? However, facing Suliang's words, the female monarch just said lightly, I am here to guide you in your cultivation. What's happening here? Suliang was stunned for a moment. He didn't remember that he knew the beautiful woman in front of him, and he had never seen her before. As for knocking Mu Qingqian unconscious, Suliang figured it out at this moment. Since you are instructing yourself to practice, you naturally cannot let others see it. From this point of view, this eldest sister does not have any malicious intentions. What do seniors want to teach juniors? Suliang was a little confused. The realm of transcendence above immortality, how to ascend to transcendence. The lady's words are concise and concise, right down to the essence. After hearing this, Suliang felt a little excited. His time in the immortal realm is not short, and he has actually been studying how to ascend to the transcendent realm recently. But after all, the time was still short, and Suliang only had a vague idea. If someone helps, it will really save a lot of trouble. But then, another question appeared in Suliang's mind, but why does senior want to help me? I came here to repay my kindness, that's all. The female monarch said calmly. That's it? What kind of repayment of kindness? What kind of repayment of kindness? Why is there any kind of kindness? Can't you speak clearly? Riddler, please get out of here. Suliang rubbed his eyebrows and felt a little headache. Why did the former Dong Huang and the current eldest sister both like to be the Riddler? But although Suliang couldn't understand what Nu Jun was talking about, he could sense that she was not lying to him. That's good. Then Suliang bowed and said respectfully, if that's the case, then I'll trouble you, senior. The female monarch nodded, then turned around and walked a few steps away before looking at Suliang again. Her behavior made Suliang a little confused. Senior, this is. I will give you direct guidance. The most direct way, what is that? Before Suliang could react, Nu Jun suddenly took action, with a slender palm that was as white and tender as jade, but carrying huge power, and struck Suliang with the palm. See this. Suliang hurriedly resisted, feeling a little confused. Co-author, the most direct method you mentioned is to fight? Okay, you are the boss, I listen to you. Then Suliang quickly cheered up and dealt with Nu Jun's trick seriously. However, soon, Suliang was brutally ravaged, and was beaten so hard that he couldn't get up at all. Of course, the female monarch naturally restrained her strength and only exerted the power of cultivation that the immortal realm should have. But even so, Suliang, who now has 3 generations of combat experience, is no match for her. This is a complete crushing of the realm. Although the female monarch's cultivation level is the same as that of the immortal realm, her realm is actually the realm of transcendence. At this time, Suliang was pushed to the ground and beaten, but he didn't feel any regrets at all. Instead, he seemed to have some enlightenment. He felt the horror of transcendence from the female monarch. Although the realm of immortality is immortality, it is bound by heaven and earth after all. This immortality is not complete. But the state of transcendence is to transcend this world and then control the world again. Above the heaven and earth, your own body is your own world, so why should you be controlled by this world? What is detachment? It is the detachment from this world. As soon as he thought about it, the path to transcendence was already open in front of Suliang. After being pinned to the ground and ravaged by Nujun, Suliang was covered in bruises and lay exhausted, unwilling to get up. This most direct method is indeed helpful in guiding cultivation. Moreover, Suliang indeed received a lot of benefits. But Suliang felt that it really hurt. However, Nujun was very measured in her nonsense. Suliang looked miserable now, but it was just some superficial injuries. After a little cultivation, the true energy will flow through and he will be able to recover in a short time. If Wan Qing delayed longer, Suliang might not be able to wait until then, and Suliang would be fine. How are you? The female queen came to Suliang and knelt down. Her expression was a little indifferent, but she asked with concern. Fortunately, thank you senior for your advice. Suliang thanked him and smiled, but it involved the wound at the corner of his mouth, so he quickly stopped his smile and said, Senior, don't worry, I just need to rest here for a while. Yeah. The female monarch frowned slightly and pondered for a moment, then looked at Suliang seriously. Since your injury is my fault, I will naturally let you recover as soon as possible. Big sister actually wants to take care of me? Suliang blinked and looked at Nujun suspiciously. It's not Suliang's prejudice, it's really. This female monarch looks aloof from the world, as ethereal and mysterious as a fairy, and she doesn't look like she can take care of people at all. She takes care of me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 446. You won't just take care of me until I can't move, right? It's better, don't bother senior, right? Suliang said cautiously, my injury is not serious. I can recover after taking a rest. No. Nujun shook her head, as if she had to take care of Suliang. Immediately. She actually stretched out her hand and hugged Suliang in her arms. Moment. Suliang felt the tenderness of the beauty in his arms. Especially that peak, it's simply majestic and majestic, even worse than my master's. Enough to be proud of the world. A fragrant scent that did not agree with all the women in his family lingered on the tip of Suliang's nose, and actually made Suliang calm down instantly. After an injury, licking the wound is more effective and conducive to recovery. Just when Suliang gave up resistance, the female monarch said this to Suliang. Hearing this, Suliang was immediately stunned. What did she mean when she said this to me? Could it be that you want to licking my wounds? Senior, you, please don't act recklessly. This is nonsense and cannot be believed. Suliang said quickly, fearing that Nujun would really take action to lick his wounds. However, rejection is invalid. The female monarch directly ignored Suliang's rejection, put her jade hand on Suliang's shoulder, and pushed gently. Suliang fell to the ground again. Immediately, the female monarch leaned down and exposed her fragrant tongue. It was soft and sweet, and she licked the wound at the corner of Suliang's mouth. Hiss. Suliang's body stiffened instantly. To be honest, it feels good for such a stunning woman to treat herself like this. But I don't know her at all, and today is the first time I met her. This feels very subtle. The most important is, Suliang felt that he was hopeless and it was too exciting, but Nujun was indifferent, very serious, and hard-working. It was as if she felt that all this was normal. How can this be normal? Suliang felt numb. After a long time, Mu Qingqian opened her eyes in confusion, feeling that she was in a warm and secure place. She moved a little, and the familiar breath on the tip of her nose made her understand. It was her own man who was holding her. At this moment, Mu Qingqian felt completely at ease. Turning sideways and hugging Suliang tightly, Mu Qingqian woke up and looked at the environment in the surrounding Holy Land, feeling a little confused. Her last memory was still on the suspended tower. Senior brother Su, what happened just now? Why did I pass out? Mu Qingqian blinked and asked hesitantly, what's wrong with you? She clearly saw that her man looked hopeless at this moment. Nothing. Suliang shook his head and fell silent again. What could he tell his goddess? All that just happened. It's truly unforgettable. He didn't know how to answer at all. Just when Suliang accepted the advice from Nujun. Wan Qing, whom I had met before, went to visit her old friend from thousands of years ago. Wanqing, are you here? A seemingly playful and lively lady, after seeing Wan Qing, gave her a big hug and quickly opened the door. Come on, come in, I've been waiting for you for a long time, and you don't even know to come see me. After sitting down with Wan Qing, Sister Yu pouted, I am now the Supreme Elder of the Holy Land, but this Supreme Elder is so boring that I can't even go out to play with you. In the eyes of outsiders, this Supreme Elder has supreme honor and status. Why do you still despise it so much? Wan Qing shook her head and smiled. Volume 1 # Chapter 424 Even best friends can change their hearts. How can the Supreme Elder have any freedom? He has to sit on the holy mountain. Sister Yu seemed to be complaining, and then she said, just wait. I just received some spiritual tea and some spiritual fruits from below 2 days ago. I'll get some for you to try. Say it. Elder Sister Yu has been busy, talking to Wan Qing, entertaining Wan Qing warmly, and bringing her spiritual tea, spiritual fruits, and other good things to entertain Wan Qing. However, but she didn't mention a word about the power that Wan Qing asked her to keep for her. Since she didn't mention it, Wan Qing didn't say much, just smiled and said, who else can trap you? Even if you can't get out, you can just ask someone to deliver a message. I'll just come and see you. Don't tell me. You don't know that I've been back a long time ago. Can it still be like this? Elder Sister Yu looked at Wan Qing in shock, not knowing whether she was really so or just pretending to be shocked. After leaving her old friend's place, Wan Qing found her apprentice waiting outside the palace. My good disciple, you said. Wan Qing thought about it for a moment and sighed, can a person really be obsessed with power, give up a lot, or even forget the kindness and friendship of the past? If you carefully calculate, you and she have already had a 1,000-year friendship, right? Although elder sister Yu didn't say anything clearly before, her performance still made Wan Qing have some guesses. Times have changed, master, it's better not to think so much. Although Suliang didn't know the inside story, he noticed something and comforted his master softly, if she doesn't care about this friendship anymore, and master still remembers it, why bother? Or maybe she has something to hide. I hope so. Wan Qing smiled and said nothing more, her eyes as deep as the sea. Things have changed, thousands of years have passed, and I really don't know what you have become. I hope you don't disappoint me. Although that was Wanqing's power before reincarnation. Now, it has long been separated and is in the hands of others. However, after all, this power belongs to Wan Qing. It comes from the same source and was cultivated through her hard work. Although she is not in her body now, Wan Qing still has a way to sense her own power. Certainly. Even if it is sensed, it is not that easy to get it back. But in the end, Wan Qing still wanted to know the whereabouts of her power. If possible, it would be best to get it back. She didn't know if her best friend had really changed his mind and was really coveting her little power. She and the Supreme Elder have had a friendship for more than 1,000 years, and even she would feel sad if her best friend changed her mind. It's better to confirm with your own hands than to make random suspicions. However, with Wan Qing's current strength alone, it is indeed difficult to sense the power that she had stripped away thousands of years ago. Then, when they left this heavenly palace and returned to their temporary residence, Wan Qing went directly to Suliang's room and found Suliang. "My dear disciple, my master wants you to do a favor." Wan Qing sat directly next to Suliang, held Suliang in her arms, and pressed her head on the top of the mountain. All of a sudden, Suliang felt that it was extremely smooth and the tangy milk fragrance left a fragrance on his lips and teeth as soon as he opened his mouth. Master wants the disciple to help, and the disciple will naturally fight to the death. Suliang said dully, "But master, can you let the disciple go first? If the master is like this, the disciple can't even speak. How can I help the master?" And just as Suliang was speaking, his breath reached its peak, causing Wan Qing's pretty face to turn red immediately. Unable to help it, I hugged master a little tighter. "Well." Suliang hurriedly struggled. It was already uncomfortable enough for him to speak before. Master is holding him so tightly now that he can't even breathe smoothly. "Okay. No, I want you to help me as a teacher." Wan Qing was smiling, hugging her apprentice with her beautiful hands all the way down. "Master." Suliang was even more panicked. Seeing that his master's actions were a bit strange, Suliang didn't want to leave the room until tomorrow morning. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 447. Don't make trouble. Wan Qing patted her apprentice's head gently. Immediately. But he let go of Suliang. However, before Suliang Song could take a breath, Wan Qing came directly to Suliang, gently pushed Suliang's shoulder with her jade hand, and pushed Suliang down on the bed. Next moment, Wan Qing leaned forward, lowered her head, and kissed Suliang lightly on the lips. "Master, what are you going to do?" Suliang said to his master helplessly. "Is it okay to just start posting posts to take advantage of my apprentice without saying anything?" "Of course, I want to do something." Wan Qing confessed openly, as if it were a matter of course. "What I want to do next as a teacher can only be accomplished by being like you." "Really, you believe me?" After saying that, Wan Qing blinked her eyes with a sincere feeling. "How is it possible? What on earth is it that requires my own apprentice to do it in reverse?" Suliang said helplessly, "Master, do you think I will believe your lies?" "Huh, believe it or not, how could I lie to you?" Wan Qing looked very serious. It never occurred to me that he would often use various reasons to monopolize his apprentices and stay close to them. Whether it was with her own apprentices or with Qin Binjao and others, she had long lost her credibility. "Okay, don't say any more." Before Suliang could continue to speak, Wan Qing's hand touched her apprentice's face, smiling coquettishly. "Good disciple, please let go of your breath, my master is here." "Say it." "Tear." "Master, what do you want to do?" "Of course I want to do something, but if you don't cooperate, why don't I do it myself?" "Well, master." The voices of the two people talking gradually became quieter. After a while, there was a muffled sound in the room. and in Suliang's body, the aura belonging to the former Qing emperor gradually lingered around Wan Qing's body, reaching its peak. Wan Qing immediately used her magic to use the Qing emperor's aura of her former master to activate the power she had stripped away, so as to guide her back to herself. However, when King Di's aura completely dissipated, Wan Qing failed. At that moment, she had realized that her power had been blocked. The seal was very strong, and even with her current guidance, even if she added Master's aura, it would not help. Silently get dressed for yourself and Master. Wan Qing lay in Suliang's arms, her eyes dim and a little bit of disappointment in her voice. My good disciple, it turns out that even best friends can change their hearts. Volume 1 Chapter 425, It is impossible to kneel down for the ironclad Tao Yao Yao. 1,000-year friendship has experienced countless joys and sorrows, life and death. In the end, it was not as powerful as the one that was stripped away. Even Wan Qing felt a little uncomfortable at this moment. Betraying Master is their loss, so why should Master care? Suliang also noticed the changes in his master, hugged him tightly and comforted him with a smile. But, even though I had expected it, I still feel a little uncomfortable. Wan Qing said a little boredly, hugged her apprentice tightly, and buried her head in his arms, looking like she was asking for comfort. Since you have changed your mind, it means there is no fate. Master, don't worry about it. Suliang was very wise, and kissed his master's forehead gently, comforting him. It's not worth it to be sad for those who are destined to leave. Wan Qing nodded. Fortunately, I have you with me. I will always be with Master. Suliang smiled and spoke firmly. But just when the atmosphere between the two was warm. Boom! The door to the room was suddenly kicked open. Immediately afterwards, Qin Benjiao and others all walked in with a menacing attitude and bad intentions. Facing Wan Qing's doubtful eyes, Qin Benjiao and others complained, Sister Wan Qing, you have gone too far. You only occupied Suliang before. We only regarded you as a contest, but you have continued to occupy us until now. Summit's past. My disciple is right. My aunt has indeed gone too far. She has occupied a liang for so many days. Have you ever considered the feelings of our sisters? Sister Wanqing, let go of Lang Jun. Lang Jun belongs to all of us. Listening to everyone's chirping accusations, Wan Qing asked, what are you here for? Of course we are here to jointly accuse. Qin Benjiao took everyone forward and said, there is strength in numbers. With so many of us together, we won't be afraid of you anymore, Sister Wanqing. Oh! Wan Qing raised her eyebrows, and her eyes immediately became dangerous. She chuckled lightly, sat up, and didn't panic. She just arranged her clothes. I didn't expect that, Benjiao, Kinja, you actually have the courage to resist me. Did someone give you the courage to seek death? Don't worry, tell me, I won't do anything to him. It's just a friendly exchange, really. It's just a friendly exchange, really. Wan Qing's words were very relaxed, but they were full of threatening feelings. Even repeated it twice. How could Qin Benjiao and others not hear it? In addition, Wan Qing's dangerous gaze instantly made Qin Benjiao and others feel their scalps go numb. Tan Kinja immediately remembered the fear of being dominated by her aunt. Qin Benjiao and others also more or less recalled the past when they were suppressed by Wan Qing. Sister Wanqing is indeed the biggest girl in the family. You are so careless. Why were you so obsessed with it before that you thought that if you and others combined, you could make Sister Wan Qing submissive? With Sister Wanqing's domineering and sinister attitude, how could she be subdued? She is Lang Jun's master. She dares to bully even Lang Jun. How can she give us face? What's more, Sister Wan Qing's cultivation is the strongest among us. Moment. He and others were suppressed by Wan Qing's single hand, and could only look miserably and crying as the scene of Wan Qing's sister bullying Lang Jun in front of him appeared in front of the girls. Unsurprisingly, facing the powerful Wan Qing, all the girls were intimidated, and one by one, they were intimidated faster than anyone else. It's not me. I'm innocent. I was forced out. Sister Wan Qing, please spare my life. Qin Benjiao immediately begged for mercy and rebelled on the spot, showing no moral integrity. Immediately afterwards, Tan Qinja also moved a step to the side and stood next to her apprentice, looking righteous and awe-inspiring. What is going on with you guys that you dare to resist my aunt? Auntie is the eldest among us, so what if she monopolizes a liang for a few days? It's really treasonous. Then, he looked at Wan Qing and said with a smile, "Don't worry, aunt, I have already reprimanded them. You understand me, and I stand firmly with you." And after Qin Benjiao and Tan Qinja started, the remaining girls saw that the situation was not good, and began to rebel one after another, using various excuses to escape. No moral integrity is enough to describe this chaotic scene. Such a foil makes Wan Qing look like a big devil. Seeing this scene, Suliang was speechless. My ladies, before they got together with me, were all aloof, arrogant, majestic, and noble, and they were all like fairies. Why did he become like this not long after being together with me? Especially if my master directly becomes the great demon king, is that okay? It's simply outrageous. However, after all the girls rebelled, there was only one person left in the field, still refusing to admit defeat, looking at Wan Qing. Tao Yaoyao, just don't accept it? Tao Yaoyao put her hands on her hips and glared at Wan Qing with an awe-inspiring, ironclad, and majestic look. Sister Wan Qing is really going too far. She monopolizes Brother Suliang and doesn't let Brother Suliang rest. Brother Suliang has lost a lot of weight after being with Sister Wan Qing for a few days. Yao Yao looks very distressed. As she said that, Tao Yaoyao glanced at Qin Benjiao and others on the side, but saw that Qin Benjiao and others looked at her in a strange way. Of course she didn't know that the look in Qin Benjiao's and others' eyes was called pity. In the eyes of Qin Benjiao and others, the iron-bone Tao Yaoyao is clearly seeking death. But Tao Yaoyao didn't think so much, turned around, continued to accuse, and protested, for the sister's ownership of Brother Suliang, and for the sake of Brother Suliang's body, Sister Wan Qing, you can't go on like this. Don't ask, just ask because of my man. However, Tao Yaoyao didn't know that Wan Qing could see through her thoughts at the moment. This little girl is so eager to show off, is she trying to gain favor? Good guy, if she really succeeds after such a tough performance, won't she also win the favor of Master Benjiao and the others? But my villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 448. Little girl, you are still a little too young. When I was hanging around Master and constantly trying to gain Master's favor, you didn't know where you were. How dare you do this in front of me? Tisk tisk, I really don't know whether to live or die. Then, under the gaze of Tao Yaoyao's firm eyes that looked back upon death, Wan Qing suddenly laughed and said softly, "It seems that it was you who gave them the courage to resist me. It turns out that you, girl, have so much dissatisfaction with me." While talking, Wan Qing stood up, came to Tao Yaoyao, and patted Tao Yaoyao on the shoulder. "You girl misunderstood me a lot, I don't care, but since we are a family, this misunderstanding should be resolved. Lift it. Come on, come with me. Let's have a good chat and resolve these misunderstandings. Say it." Wan Qing grabbed Tao Yaoyao's shoulders and wanted to take her away. At this moment, Tao Yaoyao finally realized something was wrong and panicked. Hey, Sister Wan Qing, we can just talk here, don't go anywhere else." No, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Sister Wanking, please forgive me. Sister, save me. Tao Yao Yao's screams gradually faded away and soon disappeared. Immediately, in the room not far away, Tao Yao Yao's screams rang out again. It was extremely miserable, making those who heard it sad and those who saw it crying. Suliang and others looked at each other and couldn't help but shudder. Sister Wanking, Master, is so cruel. After the screams subsided, Suliang quickly walked out of the room and walked in the direction of the screams to find Tao Yao Yao. However, when Suliang saw Tao Yao Yao again, even though he had been mentally prepared, he was still stunned. I saw. At this moment, Tao Yao Yao was brutally restrained and tied up. He was hoisted up and still spinning on his own. The moment she saw Suliang, Tao Yao Yao immediately started crying, "Brother Suliang, woo woo woo." Suliang hurriedly walked up to rescue Tao Yao Yao. However, Tao Yao Yao, turned to the other side and cried so hard, "Brother Suliang, I don't have the face to see anyone. Aren't you on the right path? How come this method is dirtier than our demon sect?" Hearing this, Suliang couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. What did Master do to make this little witch think like this? Simply terrible. There is a mysterious place in the Holy Land, which can be said to be a chance. The Holy Sun sat in front of everyone in the Su family and explained with a smile. "You mean, the realm of Taixu and Kongming?" Wanqing thought for a moment, raised her eyebrows, and asked. Senior Wanqing is very knowledgeable, and this is the place. The Holy Sun nodded. It is said that being in the realm of Taixuan, Kongming, and Ming can allow people to enter the realm of selflessness and realize the great path. For a being like Senior Wanqing, who has long been at the pinnacle of the world, the effect may not be as good, but for us younger generations, it is a rare treasure and opportunity. That's right, that thing is very useful to my good disciples. If I hadn't been able to find the method and opportunity to get in, I would have sent him in for some enlightenment. Wanqing nodded, suddenly thought of something, and asked again, could it be that there is a chance to enter the realm of Taixian Kongming? Senior Wanqing's guess is good. The Holy Sun smiled and said, the Holy Land negotiated and specially opened the realm of Taixuan, Kongming, and Netherworld to warm up the battle for the leader of the righteous path. Are those old men in the Holy Land a little more generous? Wanqing raised her eyebrows and smiled unconsciously. This kind of place is useful to her. Even if her cultivation level is unparalleled, she may be able to make huge progress through an epiphany. Similarly, the effect on Suliang and others will be more obvious. If there is such an opportunity, it is natural to go in and gain some insights. However, the Holy Sun immediately changed the subject. Although the realm of Taixian Kongming can accommodate everyone, it is an opportunity after all, so naturally there must be a certain threshold. After Senior Wanqing and others go, they need to obtain admission qualifications. Hearing this, Wanqing nodded, not surprised. In the land of opportunity, one needs to be qualified to enter. This is normal. However, everyone in the Su family is a proud figure among their peers, and they are still the top group among them. There is really no need to worry too much about this so-called admission qualification. Let's go, let's join in the fun. Wanqing smiled at Suliang and others and said, the Taixuan Kongming realm is such a good place. If you have a chance, you will definitely go there. Everyone nodded and immediately set off. At the same time, outside the realm of Taixuan Kongming, a group of righteous sect leaders, hidden great masters, gathered here with their disciples. A small place does have the feeling of being crowded with people. After arriving here, these people were not impatient. While talking with acquaintances, they looked towards the entrance of the Taixuan Kongming realm. Apparently, when they come here, they all want to seize the opportunity here. Only, I don't know how to obtain the qualifications to enter the Holy Land established by it. And just when Suliang and others had just arrived and walked into the crowd, then they saw an elder with white hair and beard walking up to the crowd and said loudly, "I am the elder of the Holy Land, in charge of this entry into the realm of Taixuan Kongming. Anyone who wants to enter will not consider their level of realm this time, and will not test their strength." As soon as these words came out, everyone was startled, and then started whispering. As the threshold of opportunity, this screening rule is a bit strange, regardless of realm or strength. I just don't know what to consider. Just when everyone was puzzled, they heard the old man say, "This time, what we are testing is your understanding of your own realm." This is a tricky angle to consider. When everyone heard this, they all frowned, but then they relaxed and felt somewhat confident. The people present are all the proud sons of heaven, and their ability in the world is far beyond the comparison of ordinary people. How can you not understand the state you are in? This time, it should be stable, right? In front of you, there is a special test formation. If you are confident, you can just go up and withstand the corresponding pressure. If you know enough about your own realm, you will naturally be able to pass it smoothly. But if it's not enough, in the end, you have to quit in embarrassment and be laughed at by everyone. At this moment, a proud woman standing at the front suddenly stepped forward and whispered, "Let me try." "Say it." This proud girl raised her feet and walked into the big formation. Moment. A burst of pressure came down, causing the proud girl to frown slightly and her steps paused. Available immediately. The power belonging to the realm of dragon transformation spread out from her body, actually fighting against the pressure of the formation. In just an instant, this proud girl returned to normal and walked through the formation. Seeing this, everyone was amazed. Although this proud girl is of low level, her attainments in the dragon transformation realm are already unmatched. At least, many people in the dragon transformation realm present thought that they could not compare to this proud woman. And as the next few people tried, no one was able to walk through the formation. The best one only enters the formation for a few breaths, the worst one is forced to retreat directly. At this time, everyone's expressions became serious. Before, they all thought that they were the proud ones. How could they not understand enough about their own realm? But at the moment it seems, the requirements of this formation are really too high. Many of them are not even as good as the ones just now. How can they possibly break through? And just when everyone was hesitating, Suliang walked up to the crowd and said with a smile, "I would like to try it." As soon as these words came out, someone immediately reminded me, "Fellow Taoist, you are in the realm of immortality, so you must be careful. In this formation, the pressure of the immortal realm will increase dozens of times, which is far from what the ordinary immortal realm can compare to." "Is that so?" Suliang was stunned for a moment, then nodded, but without hesitation, he walked directly into the formation. Then, the pressure that was enough to crush an ordinary immortal level prodigy suddenly came, but Suliang seemed not to feel anything. Without being affected at all, Suliang raised his feet and walked out of the formation. At this moment, Suliang's performance was enough to crush all the geniuses. It's bright and smooth, shining in the sky, making people dare not look directly, but they are yearning for it. Is it that simple? Suliang returned to his girlfriend, blinked, and then laughed. It was just a formation, how could it possibly stop Suliang? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womang. Chapter 449. His attainments in the realm of immortality are extraordinary. After all, the insights of many lives are integrated and integrated. The insights of the immortality realm of the person who once reached the top of the world are naturally extraordinary. Not to mention, a glance from the past that lasted 10,000 years had already made Suliang reach the realm of immortality. Now, after being taught by Nujun, he has realized the so-called detachment. He is just an immortal, how could he not understand? Suliang, you are qualified to enter the realm of Taixuan Kongming. You can bring 3 people in together. The elder looked at Suliang and said softly. Can we only bring 3 people? Suliang was stunned and turned around to look. My girlfriend, sister, all the way to Mu Qingqian, Tao Yao Yao. There are so many people in this family, and his 3 quotas are simply not enough. At this time, Qin Binjao was very smart and said very naturally, since there are not enough places for the husband alone, then I also pass, isn't it enough? These words were spoken extremely naturally, as if there was no possibility that she could not pass. As soon as these words came out, Qin Binjao was immediately scolded by the whole audience. Girl, you are not ashamed of your words. Do you know how difficult it is to pass this formation in the immortal realm? You are just a frog in the well. You have never seen the world, so you think you are strong enough. Oh, those world-famous immortals still failed. Do you think you can be stronger than them? Qin Binjao ignored all these rolling eyes and complaints. Taking very natural steps, Qin Binjao stepped into the formation. Then, just like Suliang, he walked out of it without any obstruction. At this moment, the whole place fell silent. They really didn't expect that they would be slapped in the face so quickly after they had just ridiculed them. It hurt so much. Why is this unknown girl so strong? This is too outrageous. Suliang glanced at everyone and laughed out loud. That's right, my girlfriend is really that silky smooth when she enters the battle. Volume 1 Chapter 426 You deserve the silky feel. After Suliang and Qin Binjao entered the formation smoothly, all the proud people present shut their mouths and no longer dared to ridicule. God knows why these 2 people are so powerful and have such a clear understanding of the realm of immortality. This is almost the end of the mystery of immortality, right? Why is this ridiculously powerful being someone of the same generation as them? Especially those who had made sarcastic remarks before, now they shut their mouths tightly, lowered their heads, and did not dare to see anyone again. My face hurts. He was beaten back on the spot and his face was swollen, okay. Especially among them, there were a few who tried to break into the formation and failed immediately. You can't do it yourself, yet you still dare to ridicule others. Isn't this self-defeating? One by one, they all slipped away in despair, never daring to appear again. But Suliang and others didn't care at all. After Qin Binjao successfully entered the formation and returned, Suliang and others saw that the quotas for the 2 of them were enough for everyone to enter the realm of Taixuan Kongming, so they stopped entering the formation and waited there with peace of mind. Anyway, as long as you can get in, it doesn't matter how you get in. There was a huge crowd at the scene. Countless Taoist masters, hidden great masters, and their proud disciples were waiting here to break into the formation one by one. After struggling for a long time, everyone finally got through the formation and screened out those who were qualified to enter. And immediately, after everyone else left, the elder responsible for presiding over the matter came to the crowd. Everyone, please come with me. Because there were also top Tao master level experts like Wan Qing among them, the elder was polite and led everyone to an open space. Immediately. Then they saw the elder holding a jade pendant and muttering something. Just for a moment, the space in front of everyone actually changed slightly, began to twist, and a passage appeared. This is the passage to the realm of Taixuan Kongming. Please enter on your own. After the elder said to everyone, he stood aside and said nothing. Is it actually in another dimension? Suliang raised his eyebrows and said, it's quite magical. Let's go in. Wan Qing said with a chuckle, and with a wave of her sleeves, she wrapped Suliang and others with true essence and entered directly. After feeling dizzy for a while, Suliang opened his eyes again, only to feel that the front of him suddenly became bright. I saw. In front of everyone, there was a lush forest with towering trees. Looking up, they actually blocked the sky and blocked the sun. Flying up to the sky, looking far into the distance, the woods can be seen as far as the eye can see. The sky is blue and the sunshine is clear. It is not much different from before they came in. If they hadn't really felt the power of space teleportation, they would have thought their entry had failed. This place seems to be a small world. Qin Benjao felt it and said firmly. With her ability in space, it was easy to identify this place. Hearing this, Suliang and Mu Qingqian looked at each other. Apparently, they all thought of the mysterious little world they had accidentally broken into in the past. Is this place the same existence as that mysterious little world? And don't know why. After entering here, everyone else was curious, but Suliang felt familiar. It was as if I had been here before. Innately, there is an affinity with this place. There is indeed a strange energy here that can help people enter the realm of selflessness. Wan Qingyu waved her hand gently in front of her body, as if she had caught something in her hand. She felt it for a moment before saying happily, "It seems that this place is indeed as magical as the rumors say. Now that you've come in, let's practice hard. This kind of opportunity is rare." After hearing this, all the girls agreed. After searching and finding a suitable place, Wan Qing and Jing Meng each arranged their warning and defense measures, and then everyone sat down cross-legged and started practicing. Seeing the girls practicing so actively, Suliang nodded slightly, feeling very pleased. My ladies are still very diligent. And after practicing for a while, Qin Benjao and others stood up, found someone with a similar cultivation level to themselves, and started to spar and fight based on their insights from their previous cultivation. Such discussions are the best way to put their insights into practice and become familiar with them. Qin Benjao came to Suliang. Suliang, I just realized a technique of space-time power. Why don't you accompany me to try it out? Qin Benjao took Suliang's hand and shook it. Logically speaking, based on their similar cultivation, she should be looking for Ying Kaoj to compete. However, who would give this opportunity to get close to their own man to someone else? Okay. Suliang nodded. Immediately, the two got into a stance and started fighting. However, as soon as they fought, Suliang felt something was wrong. When he reaches Qin Benjao's side, his sword moves will suddenly slow down, as if he is stuck in a quagmire, unable to move forward. Even sometimes, the sword that was thrust out would actually sink into the void, and then the sword tip would emerge from behind him, catching him off guard. The power of time and space is really strange and unpredictable. Suliang almost gasped. He really didn't expect that his girlfriend, who had the power of time and space, would be so strong. But just when the two of them were fighting fiercely, Suliang suddenly felt as if he was stuck in a quagmire, and his movements were extremely slow. But unfortunately, in his feeling, everything was normal, but his girlfriend's movements were several times faster. Immediately, taking advantage of Suliang's inability to resist, Qin Benjao stepped forward, hugged her boyfriend's face, and kissed him deeply. A full minute later, Qin Benjao let go of her hand and said with a smile, "Suliang, I win. As a reward, tonight, I want you, Suliang, to serve me well." The other people who were sparring with each other stopped immediately when they saw the development here, and they all gathered around, asking for someone to change with their own men. There is actually a reward for winning against one's own man. Doesn't the desire to win rise in minutes? To this, Suliang smiled lightly, feeling a different kind of joy in his heart. Anyway, my ladies are practicing well after all. My villain wants to clear his name, but he awakens Cao Thief Simulator. Author, Fangzone Womeng. Chapter 450. However, what Suliang didn't expect was, this practice only lasted for a while and then ended. Seeing the girls stop, Suliang asked in confusion, "You have been practicing for a while, why have you stopped?" To this, the benefits have come, and Qin Benjao, who was sparring with her sister, said, "Of course, the training is over, we need to relax too." The others nodded, all agreeing. Without waiting for Suliang to speak, Qin Benjao took Suliang's arm and said, "Let's go, Suliang, I just saw a hot spring waterfall over there, let's go relax and have a rest." As Qin Benjao and others walked through the woods, the light suddenly brightened in front of them, causing Suliang's eyes to narrow subconsciously. Immediately, he then saw that there was indeed a hot spring in the woods ahead. The spring water is filled with hot steam, strands rising up to the sky, and at the end of the spring water, there is a waterfall, crashing down from the cliff, stirring up layers of waves. Suliang knelt down and tried his hand in the hot spring. The temperature was just right and it was very comfortable. When he turned around to look over, he saw that his girlfriends had already begun to prepare. Surrounded by their own people, after arranging corresponding defensive measures, the girls were not shy at all. They just waved their jade hands and took off their clothes and placed them neatly aside. Moment. The proud figures of the girls were displayed in front of Suliang's eyes. On a clear night, Tan Kinja is plump and plump. The peak is so proud that it can make more than 99% of the people in the world feel ashamed. Especially those plump yet slender legs, just right. It can be played for a lifetime, right? As for Qin Benjao, Yang Kaoj, Himu Qingqian, and Tao Yao Yao, they all have slender figures with youthful aura. Those slender and beautiful legs were as white as jade. Although they were a little less plump, their slender and tight legs were really perfect. Although the peaks of these few people are not as high as Wanqing and Tan Kinja, they are still so powerful that they cannot lift the sky with one hand. And immediately, Qin Benjao and others rummaged around for a while, and then each of them took out a swimsuit. "We always have swimsuits on us." Qin Benjao chuckled, "It's just that I haven't been able to use it. I didn't expect that I could still use it here." While talking, the girls had already put on their swimsuits. Qin Benjao's swimsuit is plain white, but it is shrouded in light gauze. She is pure and beautiful, as if she is as ethereal as a fairy. Tan Kinja is dressed in black, seemingly conjoined, but only the front of her body is covered, only her neck, which is tied with a thin line on Ubeime's back. She is graceful, luxurious, and very cool. Wanqing wore 2 lavender swimsuits, which looked very simple, but showed her innocence and charm. Yang Kaoj was wearing a fiery red swimsuit with dragon patterns faintly embroidered on it, and a long tulle trailing behind her, giving it a bit of a dragon robe look. It can be said that it is very characteristic of her profession. Even Mu Qingqian and Tao Yao Yao were wearing different swimsuits. The two people have similar styles of swimsuits. Mu Qingqian's body is bright yellow and covered with a thin layer of gauze. She is elegant and luxurious, just like a goddess coming to earth. Tao Yao Yao, on the other hand, was the color of a peach blossom, and she was also covered with a layer of gauze, but this gauze was so thin that it was almost like nothing, which made her look even more charming. In addition, the two have exactly the same faces and similar exquisite figures. The twins merge and become invincible, right? But among the stunningly beautiful people in the hall, there was only Suliang, just like a little green among thousands of flowers. Instead, they will be competed by thousands of flowers. Suliang didn't wait to put on his swimsuit. Qin Benjao and others came forward directly, took Suliang into the hot spring, and all gathered around Suliang. And as the clothes on his body gradually dissolved, Suliang subconsciously touched his waist and nodded solemnly. On the value of swimsuits, what exactly is it? Suliang said, it can make me feel that I can still fight. After a long time. In the hot spring, it gradually became quiet. The girls all sat aside, leaning on each other, squinting their eyes and enjoying it. I can't help it, I was really tired just now. At this time, Wan Qing said, everyone has rested and relaxed. It's time to practice. It's not easy to get the opportunity to enter the realm of Taixian Kongming. Please don't waste this opportunity. Hear this. Even though they still felt a little lazy and tired, the girls still cheered up and planned to start practicing. However, they really didn't expect that in front of everyone, someone would dare to steal food. I saw. Qin Benjao was the first to bear the brunt, and immediately came to Suliang, hugged Suliang directly, and rubbed her little head against Suliang's face. Hey, the effect of practicing with Suliang is very obvious. Since you don't need it, then I won't. You are welcome. Hearing this, everyone looked at each other and immediately darkened their faces. Shameless, Qin Benjao, you actually want to use this reason to monopolize your husband. How can it be possible for you to get what you want? Then, Tan Kinja immediately walked towards Suliang, narrowed her eyes and said, who said we don't want it? Benjao, I am your master. If there is such a good thing, shouldn't you let the master come first? With that said, Tan Kinja directly picked up the back of Qin Benjao's neck and threw the confused Qin Benjao out. But before I could hug him. But Wan Qing suddenly appeared next to her, squinting her eyes and smiling, since you said so, Kinja, then my aunt, won't be polite. Tan Kinja was immediately confused and quickly stopped her aunt who wanted to seize her husband. Auntie, what do you mean? You said it yourself, there are good things that should be enjoyed by the elders. In order to win over Suliang, Wan Qing was even more unruly than Tan Kinja. She directly used her seniority and began to suppress others. I am your aunt, and my good disciple is your uncle. How dare you do it in front of your aunt? Did you do anything to your little uncle? I came first. Tan Kinja didn't give in at all, even though Wan Qing's narrowed eyes made her feel the danger. But my husband is right in front of me, how could I just let him go? Then Tan Kinja then said, after all, Liang is still your niece's son-in-law. Auntie, how dare you compete with your niece for a man? Oh. Wan Qing raised her eyebrows. It seems that being away from me for many years has indeed given you a lot of confidence. You actually dare to challenge my aunt. I don't dare, but it's about your husband, so it's hard to give in. Tan Kinja also squinted her eyes and smiled. But just when the two of them were fighting for Suliang without any moral integrity. However, a figure quietly walked behind the two of them, jumped directly into Suliang's arms, and smiled happily. Hey, brother, Suliang is mine. This person is none other than Tao Yaoyao. However, Tao Yaoyao never thought that even her eldest sister would be thrown out by these two people, let alone just her. Extreme joy brings about sorrow, which can be said to be very vivid. Then, next moment. Volume 1 Chapter 427 The Audacious Mu Qing Qian. Two jade hands grabbed her, one grabbed an arm and tried to drag her away. It's Wan Qing and Tan Kinja. The aunt and niece were fighting. Seeing that their home was stolen, they didn't want to fight anymore, so they joined forces to fight against the enemy. No, I don't want to leave brother Suliang. Tao Yaoyao hugged Suliang's neck and tied her slender legs tightly, refusing to come down. She cried, Sister Wanking, Sister Kinja, you are bullying me, a junior. For a moment, the three of them were fighting for each other. It was absolutely shameless and very eye-catching. Let the scene be chaotic. This fight between the three people lasted for a long time and still has not ended. Wan Qing has a strong cultivation base and is usually very domineering. Generally speaking, she is the leader of the family, so she will not be at a disadvantage. As for Tan Qinja, as Wan Qing's niece, she was somewhat aware of Wan Qing's tricks. With Suliang in front of her, she was not afraid of Wan Qing's betrayal on the spot. Therefore, not left behind either. As for Tao Yaoyao, as a junior, she couldn't beat Tan Qinja and Wan Qing, and her cultivation strength was the weakest. However, by not giving up, I have persisted until now and have not been defeated. The scene was extremely chaotic. However, now that someone has started, this battle will not end so easily. It's not just these three people. Qin Benjao, who was thrown out, also quietly touched back. While trying to open Tao Yaoyao's hand and grasp her man's hand, she also wanted to move forward and take Tao Yaoyao's place. Before, I was just careless and was sent away. How could I be so careless now? As long as I hold Sulang in my arms, no one can separate me from Sulang. And immediately after, even Mu Qingqian and Yang Kaoj sneaked in, fishing in troubled waters. Yang Kaoj helped Tan Qinja and Wan Qing at the same time, and his positions kept changing, causing the two people who were originally about to decide the winner to fight fiercely again. And Mu Qingqian, in a rare move, started to help Tao Yaoyao and started to attack Qin Benjao. And with the addition of a few of them, the battle has become even more chaotic and unpredictable.